Hello everyone, Max here again. So today we're going to be talking about the iliotibial band syndrome, also called IT band. So a while back, and I was diagnosed with this. So basically, you're getting pain on the lateral aspect of your thigh, and when you break the word down, iliotibial, so ilio meaning the iliac crest, kind of where the hip comes up like here, and then tibial, referring to the tibial tuberosity, where the this band connects to. So it's this giant stretch right here, kind of on this portion of the thigh. So what happens is it's a connective tissue, gets really inflamed. You get a lot of pain when you're doing like squats, lunges. So a lot of times, foam roller and stretch therapy, kind of heat therapy, those are kind of the common modalities in treatment. I was given a set of exercises, and that's very common. So basically the idea behind that is you stretch out the big prime movers, those big muscle groups that pull and that connect to the IT band, and thus when those muscles become relaxed, there's less pull, and hence an improvement of the syndrome. So some of the common ones, we'll start with the quads, right? So we start with a basic quad stretch. Use something to support yourself. Here I got this beautiful tree. Now I prefer to do a cross stretch. So you can take your right hand and simply pull back on the right foot here. Personally, I prefer to use the left hand to pull back on the right foot, because this way it keeps the knee closer to my center of gravity, whereas some people kind of tend to bring it out here. So some important key notes before doing any stretch. Make sure you do a light warm-up. It can be just a little walk, 5 minutes, just something to get the blood moving. Even a hot shower suffices. You want to make sure that the muscle is warm before you're stretching it. Muscle, like any other material, becomes more pliable when it's warm, so there's less risk of injury when you're cranking and stretching it. So for all stretches, minimum 15 seconds. Try to hold it for a good 30 seconds. Notice how I'm not pumping it, I'm not pulsing it. It's a slow, constant pull, right? And you do want to challenge yourself. I mean, this is stretching. You don't want to just kind of just hang around there. Effort in equals effort out. But, within reason, within moderation, you shouldn't have any pain. This is just a standing stretch here. Good. Next, we're going to get down on the floor. And it's the same concept. We're bringing the heel back towards our butt, just in a different body position here. Here, we're going to be laying down. You'll see I'm laying, I'm comfortable, and that heel is touching my butt right now. Now, very important, I'm not cranking the entire foot back, because that will get the hip flexor. We don't really want that. We want just the quad for now. And stretching should be relaxing. You want to get in the right state of mind too. Take your time with this. Dedicate 10, 15 minutes out of your day. So good. So that's side lying. Now we're going to simply flip you over into a supinated or a pronated position. So again, these are just different angles. We started from standing. We went on the side. Now we're laying. Kind of feel what's most applicable to you. Personally, I prefer laying down. This way I can really let my body relax and I can just focus on stretching. There is a strong psychological component to stretching, so if you're already really tense and you're standing, you're focusing on balancing, kind of takes away from that. Now, kind of an added variation is you can simply use a belt or a towel. Here I'm using a TRX strap. I'm going to wrap this TRX strap over the foot, like so. Not exactly the most graceful person in the world. Yep. Now I'm just hanging out here. All I'm doing is just, applying pressure, pulling it. Now I can just truly just relax and let that towel or that strap do its work. Well, beautiful, good. And then kind of the expert variation is I'll show you with the left foot. But again, heel would come to butt, and then you're laying completely flat on the floor. And here you have a huge pull on those quads. Now, very few people can do this. You got to be really flexible. You also got to have really good ankle mobility. So I wouldn't recommend this to people unless you're really, really flexible. Man, this really cranks out that quad and really that hip flexor too. Beautiful. Good. Back into standing position. So those are some basic quad stretches, right? The anterior of the thigh. Next, we're actually going to focus right on that IT band. And so we'll start with the right side. So here we want to promote this movement. We want to stretch this area, right? So your right foot is going to be placed directly on the floor. Left foot is here. And now you're just shifting that right hip into the surface. Support yourself a little bit. Kind of anchor yourself, put your gaze out some in front of you. Now, because there's not a lot of major muscle groups here, it's not going to feel as direct as when you're stretching that quad. So just hang out here for our time. Again, no pulsing. Very short range of motion too. Like I said, it's not as direct as the other stretches. You should feel a little pulling here, but not overused. 10 more seconds. So very important, making sure this right leg is straight and there's a definitive angle. Good. A variation to this, we'll go back to left leg. So it's here, same concept. But here's you're standing and then you're adding a little twist here. That can help open up a little bit more. Again, anchor yourself with that foot. You want to be nice and upright. A side view here. You don't want to be in front. Everything is one plane of motion here. Again, very subtle range of motion here. Very little, not too much. Doesn't take much. 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So those are really kind of the only two big IT band direct stretches. Next, got to hit the hamstrings, the posterior portion of the thigh. So we have a standing variation. So you can simply anchor your butt onto something. Again, we're starting with the right foot. Keep the right foot nice and straight, and you're taking the left foot and crossing it in front of it. What this is going to do, it's going to help lock out the right leg in a straight position. This way you can really get a good pull in that right leg. And now, kind of gently bounce yourself up against the tree and just lean down. Let gravity just let you hang. You want to, when you're doing any stretch, you want to eliminate any unnecessary variables such as coordination and balance. That's why some of the laying stretches really, in my opinion, some of the best. You can really disengage everything. The standing ones have, their own place. So here, I'm leaning back against the tree, so I don't have to focus on balancing. I'm locking out that right leg using my front left leg and letting gravity work myself down. Again, I'm not exactly the best example of flexibility, but I'm just showing that if I can do it, so can you. You need to feel a huge pull. I mean, even starting from the glute, kind of this gluteal hamstring arch, all the way down to the hamstring, and you will feel a little in that IT band as well. Beautiful. So now working our way down onto the floor. So our traditional sitting stretch here, reaching towards the toes. Now, very important is your leg position. The more bent your knees are, the less stressed the hamstrings are, and you actually feel it more in the lumbar. So it's imperative that you keep the legs nice and straight. Take a nice deep breath and reach. Again, no pulsing. I'm just simply reaching. Popular this morning. pulsing, is reaching. Now for an added benefit, you can take a strap, a belt, a towel, your assistance here, and reach. So we're doing a double leg here stretch. You can certainly go one leg at a time, personal preference. And you might actually feel a little bit in your calves as well. Remember, keep those legs nice and straight. Nice deep breaths. Beautiful. We're going to open up a little bit. So create at least a 9-degree angle with both your feet and repeat the process. So what we'll do is I'll take my left hand and I'll reach towards my right foot, like so. I'm going to use my opposing hand just to stabilize myself right here. Now, depending on where you're tight, you might feel this in one of the flanks. And all up and down your upper body as well. But again, concepts stay the same. We want this leg nice and straight and reaching. Woo! For some, this will be harder than an actual workout. Myself being one of them. So I'm only going to run through this one time, just for the sake of time. But feel free to do as many rounds as you'd like. You can do 2 or 3, especially if you find a stretch that really hits that tight area or just feels good. By all means, run through it 2, 3 times if you like. We're more likely to adhere to a routine that we enjoy or that we believe has a perceived benefit. And the beauty of breaking down the body in half like this is you can really feel, you can find any asymmetry or imbalance. One side might be tighter than the other, one might be looser, one might be more painful. And that is kind of part of your fitness journey. I mean, you're learning about yourself. And a lot of times, our body subconsciously creates these compensations. So if you can find them early on enough, you could prevent a lot of injuries down the road. So good. So those are hamstrings. Last one. Just a variation. We're laying down now, anchoring our strap to our arch here. There it is. Again, what is our leg doing to promote maximum hamstring stretching? That leg is nice and straight, and then we gently, little by little, work our way up. Now what you want to do is I already feel tightness right here, and I'm at like 60 degrees here. What I'm going to do is every 5 seconds, I'm going to just raise it up, just little by little. So it'll be like every 3 breaths, I'll move it up a little bit. Woo! Feeling that big pull. Doing my best to keep that leg straight. And you'll notice when you really stretch out the hamstrings hard, you'll almost notice your lumbar decompressing a little bit. And that's just because the lumbar and the hamstrings are so interconnected. I mean, when your hamstrings are tight, you end up using your lumbar more and vice versa. So after stretching, you really find out just how much synergy there is on all of your muscles and all the connection points. Woo! This might be my limit. Woo, beautiful. Wow. That's a brow raiser. Fantastic. Good. So those are so we hit the hamstrings hard. Now we're going to go into our calves, okay? So again, starting from the standing position. So we'll start with the right foot. The right foot is what we're at here. You want to keep the foot nice and flat here, and you want to emphasize that range of motion. So to emphasize a gastrocnemius stretch, the calf muscles, you simply want the toe to flex upward, right? So dorsiflex, plantar dorsiflex. So if you can just mimic this angle, you know we have two movements. We have here, we're just leaning onto something. Okay. The shorter the angle between my foot and my tibia and my fibula here, the more stretch you get. 10 more seconds. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Beautiful. And then in the same way, you can just simply take that same angle and bring it into here. Anchor. Again, both work. Find what works better for you. You really got to play with it here. And my foot is almost vertical here. Woo. So again, if you can understand just the angles and the basic concepts, like what muscle you're trying to stretch, what angle you need it to be at, then simply the application, whether you're standing, sitting, laying down, it's all the same. So again, it's all about tailoring it to you. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Beautiful. Good. Nice. So my right leg is feeling good. And now we have one more final stretch, and that's for the glute. And this is a fan favorite of many, figure 4. So our right ankle is going to go on top of our left knee. Okay. And now we want to keep our right leg as parallel to the floor as possible. And all we're going to do is just simply elevate that left leg and pull back on that left leg. Because what we're trying to do is we're trying to get this angle. We're trying to get a 90-degree angle to our femur and pull it back. And that's going to get the glutes, and specifically a muscle called the piriformis muscle. The reason why that muscle has been kind of receiving a lot of attention lately is because it runs right alongside the sciatic nerve. So when you hear people, oh, I have sciatica, I have paresthesia, numbness, tingling running down my leg, sometimes because that piriformis muscle is rubbing right against that sciatic nerve. And the sciatic nerve being the biggest nerve of the body, there can be a lot of, can give you a lot of pain. So my only advice with this stretch is you really have to focus on pulling back on that leg. So what we do, let's minimize variables, is simply position and anchor this leg onto a wall and then sit back down. So a really key component here is you don't want your butt to be coming off the floor. You want that butt to be nice and flat. And that's really gonna emphasize and promote that stretch. Because I mean, if your butt is all the way up here, you're only getting like a quarter of the stretch. So flatten out the back, make sure your pelvis and hips are flat on the floor, drive them into the floor, anchor that foot onto a wall or something, and feel that right glute, that right butt cheek loosen up. So see, now I'm anchored in, I'm hanging out, and I'm just letting gravity do its work. And disengage. Beautiful job, everyone. So yeah, so those are some basic stretches that you'll have for an IT band syndrome. Obviously, consult your primary health provider and your chiropractor and your physical therapist. Work with them, but you at least now have a video of how they're supposed to look like. All right, guys, be well, stay healthy.